In the alternate universe of football, what ifs? Few questions provoke as much thought as this one. What if the New York Giants drafted Micah Parsons in the 2021 NFL Draft? The franchise has had its fair share of highs and lows, but missing out on Parsons might just be one of the most consequential sliding doors moments in recent memory. The Giants opted for wide receiver Kadarius Toney with the 20th overall pick after trading down from number 11. Meanwhile, the Dallas Cowboys, their NFC East rivals, happily selected Parsons at 12, and the rest, as they say, is history. But what if it wasn't? What if Parsons had worn blue instead of silver and navy? What if he became the face of the Giants' defense instead of tormenting it? Let's explore how that decision might have rewritten the present and future of the Giants franchise, and perhaps even shifted the balance of power in the NFC East. Draft Day, the trade that could have changed everything. On draft night in 2021, the Giants found themselves in a perfect position. The Chicago Bears, desperate for a quarterback, called to move up to number 11. The Giants obliged, trading down to number 20 and acquiring an extra first-round pick in the process. On paper, it was a great move for a rebuilding team. But when you look at the caliber of player left on the board, namely Micah Parsons, it's hard not to wonder if that decision sacrificed elite talent for long-term flexibility. Parsons was widely regarded as the best defensive player in the draft, but concerns over character and positional fit allowed him to fall just outside the top 10. Had the Giants stayed put, they could have taken him at number 11. With that one move, the franchise might have gained a defensive cornerstone for the next decade. The immediate impact, year one with Parsons. Imagine Micah Parsons playing his rookie season under then defensive coordinator Patrick Graham. The Giants already had a solid bend but don't break defense that finished 9th in points allowed in 2020. Parsons could have elevated that unit from solid to special. His versatility as both a linebacker and pass rusher would have allowed the Giants to get creative, unleashing him from multiple angles. With Parsons in blue, Leonard Williams likely benefits from less double teaming. The coverage unit finds more breathing room, and the team racks up more sacks. Suddenly, those close losses in 2021, like the one-point heartbreakers against Washington and Atlanta, might turn into gritty wins. Even a 2-game swing could have changed their 4-13 season to a 6-11 or 7-10 campaign, injecting hope and patience into a frustrated fan base. And let's not forget, Micah Parsons won Defensive Rookie of the Year, logged 13 sacks, and finished second in Defensive Player of the Year voting in his first year. That's the kind of production that turns heads and defines franchises. The identity shift, a defense-first dynasty in the making. The Giants have long tried to recapture the fearsome identity that carried them to Super Bowl victories in 2007 and 2011. Powerful defensive fronts, relentless pass rushers, and a tough, blue-collar swagger. With Parsons in the mix, that identity may have re-emerged much sooner. Picture a front seven, with Parsons, Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, and Azeez Ojulari. That's a terrifying mix of speed, power, and disruptive potential. The Giants could have built the NFC's version of the Legion of Boom, with an edge-forward philosophy centered around chaos creation. Parsons would have been more than a player. He would have been the identity. His presence on the field would have drawn media attention, fired up the fan base, and possibly attracted other top-tier free agents to a franchise finally trending upward. Brian Daboll and a different foundation. When Brian Daboll took over as head coach in 2022, he inherited a team that was still finding its way. A talented defensive core was forming, but it lacked a centerpiece. Parsons could have been that anchor, a young vocal leader to build around. Instead of building the franchise around Daniel Jones's development and Saquon Barkley's health, the team might have leaned harder into a defense-first formula, mirroring teams like the 49ers or early Sean McDermott-era Bills. With Parsons as the cornerstone, the team's philosophy might have shifted entirely. In this alternate reality, Daboll and GM Joe Schoen may have focused on drafting and signing complementary offensive pieces, knowing that their defense would keep them competitive. It could have meant more bold draft strategies, a different view on Daniel Jones's contract, or even a different approach to managing Saquon Barkley's workload. No Kadarius Toney, no drama. Let's be honest, Kadarius Toney's tenure with the Giants was short-lived and full of frustration. Electric talent? Absolutely. But between injuries, off-field questions, and minimal impact, Toney never became what the Giants hoped he'd be. He was traded to the Kansas City Chiefs before the end of his second season, bringing in a third-round pick in return. Had the Giants stayed at number 11 and drafted Parsons, they wouldn't have selected Toney at 20. That's not just a personnel shift. It's a cultural one. No social media rants, no sideline theatrics, just a focused, intense professional who leads by example. With Parsons, the team gains not just production, but identity, work ethic, and tone-setting professionalism. Sometimes, who you draft says as much about your culture as how they perform. Parsons versus the NFC East, from villain to savior. Here's the kicker. Micah Parsons didn't just succeed in the NFL, he became a problem for the Giants. Twice a year, Parsons now lines up across from Daniel Jones and makes life miserable for the offense. He has become a game wrecker, in every sense of the word. Now imagine him not on Dallas. Suddenly the Cowboys lose their defensive engine. They become less explosive, less intimidating. The NFC East becomes more open. The Giants don't just gain an all-pro, they weaken a rival in the process. With Parsons in blue, the division landscape shifts dramatically. Perhaps the Giants win the division in 2022. Maybe the Cowboys struggle to create pressure. Maybe the Commanders and Eagles view the Giants as the true threat and not the afterthought. One player, massive ripple effects. Daniel Jones, a different career trajectory? Here's where the butterfly effect really kicks in. With Parsons in New York, Daniel Jones might look like a more confident, less pressured quarterback. A dominant defense keeps games close, reducing the need for shootouts. Field position improves. Shorter fields, easier reads, fewer sacks. In that kind of environment, Jones may thrive more quickly, accelerating his development and possibly altering the length and value of his eventual contract. In the real world, Jones got a $160 million deal with mixed reviews. In this alternate timeline, maybe his rise feels more earned, more efficient, more supported. Even the fan perception could change. A quarterback playing well and winning games behind a top defense. That's how reputations are rewritten. The 2022 playoff run, boosted or blown open. Let's fast forward to the 2022 season, when the Giants made a surprising playoff push under Brian Daboll. The defense was solid, but not elite. The offense was gritty, but limited. In that postseason run, the Giants pulled off a wild card upset against Minnesota before falling to Philadelphia. Now insert Parsons into that playoff picture. Do the Vikings even score 24 points in that game? Do the Eagles roll as easily? Do the Giants win another playoff game? Or two? Parsons' presence doesn't just elevate regular season success. He's the kind of player who flips playoff games with one strip sack, one third down stop, one energy shift. Suddenly, the Giants' Cinderella season turns into a real threat to reach the NFC Championship, or more. Franchise branding and marketing, the Parsons effect. Off the field, Parsons would have become the face of the franchise. Jersey sales, appearances, mic'd up moments, sound bites that go viral. Parsons has the charisma, the energy, and the swagger that sells. His presence would elevate the Giants brand not just locally, but nationally. New York media thrives on stars who show up when it matters. Parsons would have been a media darling. Gritty, articulate, passionate. He fits the city. And the city would have embraced him with open arms. Regret and reflection. Hindsight hits hard. In hindsight, this isn't just a minor mistake. This is a franchise-altering misstep. While the Giants did well to trade back and recoup assets, None of those moves produced a game changer like Parsons. And while Tony is now a footnote in Kansas City, Parsons is rewriting record books and redefining the linebacker position. If anything, this what if highlights how razor-thin the margin is between mediocrity and momentum in the NFL. One pick, one decision, one player, and the course of a franchise changes. Lessons learned from a missed opportunity. If the Giants had drafted Micah Parsons, the past 3 years of New York football might look very different. From win-loss records to playoff runs, from locker room culture to fan base energy, the ripple effects would be undeniable. But hindsight is cruel in sports. The Giants can't rewrite history. What they can do is learn from it. In a league that rewards boldness, sometimes the best move is the obvious one. The lesson: don't trade away greatness when it's right in front of you. And maybe, just maybe, the next Micah Parsons won't slip through their fingers again. And that's the story of what could have been if the New York Giants had drafted Micah Parsons. If you enjoyed diving into this NFL what if, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe for more deep dive sports content, and drop a comment below. Do you think the Giants made a franchise-altering mistake? Thank you for watching, and see you next time.